Hi, hello. So this is my second video on this. The first one I was in the middle of editing and then there was more breaking news, so I figured it'd be best if I just re-record it. So if you're unaware, last night around 7:30 to 8 p.m, dependent on the news source you're actually reading, there was a terrorist attack. Now the reason why I'm saying terrorist attack and the police apparently are no longer looking at it as if it was is because of the very definition of a terrorist attack, okay? So by MI5's definition, it is terrorists use violence and threats of violence to influence the government or an international government organisation or to intimidate the public. They do this in pursuit of a political, religious, racial or ideological cause. Now, 2 people don't just randomly stab 11 people, okay? They don't. That's why I think the police are wrong to not treat this as if it's a terrorist attack. I don't care that they're British nationals. I don't care who the hell committed this, although we do now have some more information on that. It's still designed to cause massive amounts of panic in the UK and has done so. A lot of people are going to be less easy about getting on a train from now on. That's why I think. So we'll get on with the story. So yes, last night, 2 people on the train from Doncaster to London's King's Cross stabbed 11 people. Now, thankfully, there are no deaths as of yet. Now, originally, 9 of those people were in hospital in life-threatening condition. Some of them have now been released, so it is 2 which are currently fighting for their lives. This whole situation is just bloody terrible. It really is. So let's get into the story. 2 British nationals, 1 black and 1 of Caribbean descent, are being held on suspicion of attempted murder after the Huntingdon knife attack, police have said. The suspects are a 32-year-old black British national and a 35-year-old British national of Caribbean descent, officers have told reporters on Sunday morning. Superintendent John Lovelace, speaking at the scene in Huntingdon, Cambridgeshire, said, "It's a shocking incident, and first and foremost my thoughts are with the family and friends who have been affected and those who are injured." The knife rampage happened on a London North Eastern Railway, ELNA, Doncaster to London King's Cross train on Saturday evening. Superintendent Lovelace told Today how 11 people have been treated in hospital and 2 remained in a life-threatening condition while 4 have been discharged. So hopefully everyone will be okay, at least physically. Mentally, not so much. I can't imagine what these people are going through. I just can't even begin to. He said 10 people were taken to hospital by ambulance and another person self-presented later that evening. While 9 were initially believed to have life-threatening injuries following assessment and treatment, 4, thankful to say, have been discharged. However, 2 patients remain in a life-threatening condition. And I'm praying for them. So British Transport Police received reports of the incident at 7:42 p.m. yesterday before racing to the scene in Huntingdon, where armed officers boarded the train and detained the 2 suspects. So that you're aware, because places have been covering it, it's not that important, but Huntingdon Station was not a routine stop. It was stopped urgently because of the attack on board. Witnesses have described the harrowing scenes, with passenger Ollie Foster, who was in coach H, saying how he was listening to an audiobook when a man suddenly ran past screaming, "Run, run, there's a guy stabbing literally everyone and everything." Mr. Foster said he and some other travellers thought it was a joke or a Halloween prank at first, but quickly realised they were serious by the look on their face. He explained how his hand was covered in blood after he put it on a chair as he ran through the carriage. There was blood on the top of countless chairs, coming from 2 of the guys who had been severely stabbed ahead of me, he said. A young girl was distraught as the attacker tried to stab her, but a hero of an older man got in the way, taking a gash on his forehead and I think another in the neck. Other reports are that he was also stabbed in the back, but that bloke is a massive hero. You know, we all like to think that in that kind of situation we all would act kind of heroically and step in the way to help preserve someone else's life. But to actually be in that situation and do such a thing, a clap for that man. That man is... I hope he's okay. I hope he'll be okay. Mr. Foster and other horrified passengers ran to the end of the short train and queued up where he and a few others tried to find a weapon to defend themselves in case the attackers come. One person who Mr. Foster knew had a Jack Daniels bottle with him, with which he armed himself. Now, that in itself is a different video, because we could make another video on that about the fact that the British public are not allowed to protect themselves. We're not allowed to carry anything for self-protection, even though we know the streets are dangerous. They really are. We're going to get into more of the article where it will state that police will be hanging around that area to have a presence for the public, but this isn't the first attack we've had on our transport networks. We had terrorist attacks quite a few years ago. We've also had an increase in the amount of sexual assaults on our trains. towards our young women. They've been reporting that there's been a hell of a lot more crimes than usual. And this isn't something that we shouldn't have to wait for a massive event like this before we realise that we need to start having more police on our streets to help make sure people feel safe, especially given the fact we don't even allow people to carry pepper spray in this country. So, yeah, anyway, my little point on that. Mr. Foster said, I knew he had a knife from everyone's wounds, but from somebody's previous comments there was a chance that he also had a gun, so I stood there praying. We all tried to keep calm, but you could feel everyone's adrenaline. He said the train eventually stopped moving and everyone ran off, adding, as I ran out, I looked to my right, knowing that that's where the attacker would come from, and that's when I saw about 20 people running in just pure panic. At least 3 of which were covered in blood. One guy was holding his stomach, of which blood was just pouring out, shouting, help, help, I've been stabbed. Mr. Foster recalled how helpless he and the other passengers felt, being completely unarmed against an attacker or attackers that he thought had a gun. I'm not sure how travelling on trains will feel after this. I haven't really processed it at all. It felt genuinely surreal and is something I don't wish anyone to experience. Yeah, even if these people recover from the injuries that they have, their mental health, their ability to feel safe in the public, or sometimes even in their own homes, because it does follow you, something like this, is just destroyed. I just say again, my heart goes out to these people because I don't know what else to say. Ren Chambers, who was also on board, told the BBC she heard shouting coming from a carriage or two down. She added then a minute or two later, a man comes running down with a very clear wound bleeding quite badly on his arm, and he thought it was a Halloween prank at first, but then he was shouting that someone's got a knife. He was stabbed. Then a few more people came running down the train, and I grabbed my bag and my coat. Then I got up and moved forward down the train after them, and then it just ended up all of the passengers along the train just packing forward. Miss Chambers said she saw someone who was very badly injured, lots of blood around them, who looked like they were either collapsed or about to fall over. People were trying to pass back hoodies to help pack the wound, she added. So yeah, once again, the public gathered together to try and help each other, so bravo, all of you. Because in a moment like that where there is that panic, there's no amount of preparation you can do beforehand which is going to help you in that moment. You just have to hope that you react kind of like they did. So congratulations to all of them for being so helpful to each other. The brave passenger made sure someone called the emergency services. She said, there was a girl next to me who was near where the first stabbings happened. She said that the man on the floor stepped in front of her and then got stabbed in the neck. So the earlier man that we mentioned, so yes, the hero. We all just got off the train as calmly as possible, as we were like, there's no point piling on each other. We knew the attacker was likely to still be on the train further down the line. The force has declared the attack a major incident and is probing the stabbing spree alongside counter-terrorism police. Police said at one point called Code Plato. Yeah, that's the, I'm sure it says, yeah, it does. But yeah, that's the word that police and emergency services use in times where there is a terror attack, an ongoing terror attack, or as they put, a marauding terror attack. However, this declaration was later rescinded. BTP confirmed, so British Transport Police. And I don't know if that's a good idea. Obviously, I don't know as much as them, but to me, this does look like a terrorism attack. It does. I'm sure that we will find out later what their rationale for this is, but as it stands, something which you do which causes mass panic in people. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, anyway. Superintendent Lovelace from British Transport Police today said Huntingdon Station in Cambridgeshire remains closed, but trains will be passing through. He said passengers could expect to see a high visibility presence of police officers at stations and on trains throughout today up and down the transport network, because unfortunately when something like this happens, a lot of people, crazy people, insane, evil people decide to copycat it. But it goes back to what I said earlier about the fact that we need more presence of police officers on our transport networks anyway because of other incidents that have happened. Not that I think that, well, I don't know, possibly a police officer being on board or on our station would have prevented something like this. I don't know. We could discuss that, but then the next question would be, do we actually have enough police officers to be able to do such a thing? Well, probably not, but at least let's stop them from messing around with the free speech online and get them actually out doing this kind of job, which I'm sure most police officers would actually like. He added, our officers are there to reassure the public and to address any concerns they may have. He thanked the public who had already greatly assisted our investigation and extended thanks to others working in emergency services, including Cambridgeshire police officers, the East of England Ambulance Service, Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue Service and counter-terrorism officers. He added, "Finally, I'd like to appeal for anyone that's watching who has information connected to yesterday's incident, however big or small you feel that may be, that has not yet spoken to police to make contact." He said people could text British Transport Police on 61016, quoting reference 663. Yeah. If you saw anything, or even if you're thinking to yourself, well, what I know is not that important, don't make that decision yourself. Literally, let the police make that decision about whether or not the information you have is important, because you do not know. It could be vital. So, yeah. The Elna journey was going as planned when, just after departing Peterborough station at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, one of Britain's biggest mass stabbings began to unfold. An emergency alarm was pulled and the train driver was forced to carry on for 4 to 5 minutes to Huntingdon station, the next station on the line, where he brought the Class 800 Azuma to a halt. Yeah, because earlier reports had said that it was a different station. Even BBC was saying that the police had told them a different station, another Huntingdon station. There seemed to be a lot of confusion, which is why I'm redoing the video. By 7:39 p.m, Cambridgeshire Constabulary Police had been called, with British Transport Police on its way by 7:42 p.m. Sirens wailed through the November night, with ambulance crews and firefighters also called to the scene. Ben Abishjakti, the MP for Huntingdon, said he had never seen as big a response to the incident. 30 officers rushed onto the train after it stopped in the Cambridgeshire town. Armed police were seen running down the platform at the station, trying to safely evacuate passengers and neutralise any ongoing threat. People are said to have hid in toilets as one suspect carried a big knife, witnesses said. Others told of being trampled on as a distressed passenger attempted to flee the chaos. Armed police descended on the platform and tasered a man waving a large knife, bystanders also claimed. Videos emerged on social media showing police cars racing to the scene as armed officers raced to the platform. Chief Superintendent Chris Casey said, "This is a shocking incident and first and foremost my thoughts are with those who have been injured this evening and their families. We're conducting urgent inquiries to establish what has happened, and it could take some time before we're in a position to confirm anything further. At this early stage, it would not be appropriate to speculate on the causes of incident." I will say that earlier on, when this was just unfolding, that Shabana Mahmood warned everyone on Twitter not to speculate, and yeah, because there was a lot of talk on Twitter about the nationalities of the people who perpetrated it. Some people were right, some people were wrong. Some people are even now saying that the suspects were shouting Allah Akbar whilst on the train. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm sure we'll probably never find out at this rate, knowing how the British press reports on these things, and it seems like our government is very quick to stamp out anything that could cause rising racial tensions in areas. Now, I understand that, I do, but what makes people madder is when they are denied information in regards to events like this. So yeah. I'm going to end it in a second. The one thing I will say is that it does seem like the police tried their best to apprehend the suspects and did respond en masse to try and sort this incident out. Police officers, look, when they choose that career path, they know that they're going to come across dangerous things, and that is part of the job, but it's still not a pleasant thing for them to have to come across. So, as always, thank you to them. I know that there are some bad apples out there. I really do. All right? We've all come across them in our lives. There are some, for example, who covered up all the grooming scandal stuff, but there are some who genuinely care about us and really actually want to do their jobs. I feel bad because I constantly bitch about the police, and when it comes to things like that, like this, who else are we going to call? So yeah, I really hope that these victims recover quickly. I really hope that all of them are okay. If there are any other breaking news articles about this, then I'll cover it further. I do think it's a big mistake to downplay this as not being a terrorist attack, because I've already outlined the reasons I think it is. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe people will disagree with me. They're my thoughts on it, which is what you're here for, I guess. So yeah, I love you all very much. Please, please, please take care. As I've said before, and I will keep saying, the government doesn't always have our best interest at heart, and the police cannot be there all the time to protect us. Our streets are dangerous, and our transport is dangerous. And unfortunately, we can't protect ourselves. So we just have to, I don't know, live with the threat, I guess. Anyway, I love you all, and I shall see you in the next video. Like I said, any updates, I'll update you. For now, bye-bye.